How quickly do you accept the first answer? In 1944, a cigarette was blamed for the horrific Hartford Circus Fire that killed 168 people. It was the simple, easy explanation. But this isn't just history. It's a lesson in critical thinking, because when one detective took a piece of the supposedly highly flammable tent and tested it, he discovered the official story was a lie. Stick around to see the three crucial pieces of evidence that turned a tragic accident into one of the most chilling cases of arson in American history. July 6, 1944, Hartford, Connecticut. The air was thick with excitement as the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus began its afternoon show. But that excitement would turn to terror in a flash. At 2:40 p.m., a fire erupted near the main tent's entrance. Over 168 people died, hundreds more were injured. In the chaos, officials, under pressure for a quick answer, were ready to declare it a tragic, if simple, accident, a carelessly tossed cigarette. But one man, a meticulous detective, refused to let a hasty assumption overshadow the facts. This is the story of how logical analysis and a focus on evidence proved the fire was arson. The scene was devastating. The huge big-top tent, measuring 550 by 220 feet, burned completely in under 10 minutes. Panic and a lack of clear exits turned the tent into a death trap. Initial reports quickly settled on an explanation: human error. The tent canvas was waterproofed with a mixture of paraffin and gasoline, highly flammable, a common practice at the time. The prevailing theory was simple: a cigarette butt, dropped into dry grass or straw, ignited the canvas. Case closed. Tragic, yes, but an accident. But Lieutenant George Alcorn, a sharp-minded detective with the Hartford Police Department, knew that a good investigation starts with evidence, not convenience. He and his team began the painstaking work of examining the ruins. Alcorn focused on the fire's origin point, near the main entrance. If a cigarette started it, the fire would have been a slow, smoldering ember that gradually spread upward. But the burn patterns told a different story. Alcorn noticed the fire had clearly started low to the ground and had spread with unnatural speed across the bottom edge of the canvas. This wasn't the slow crawl of a smoldering cigarette. This was the immediate, violent surge of a flammable accelerant. To challenge the flammable canvas theory, Alcorn conducted a crucial experiment. He took a section of the tent's paraffin gasoline waterproofed canvas and tried to light it with a lit cigarette. It wouldn't light. It would scorch. It might smolder, but it would not instantly burst into the all-consuming inferno that consumed the big top. The canvas was flammable, yes, but it wasn't a fuse waiting for a spark. Conclusion. Number 1. The fire did not start with a discarded cigarette. Something much more intentional and potent was required. Next, Alcorn's team tackled the witness statements. In the rush to escape, memories were blurred, but certain details kept appearing and contradicting the accident theory. Many witnesses near the origin point described the fire as starting with a whoosh or a flash, suggesting an immediate, large-scale ignition, not a slow burn. More critically, one witness, a young usher, described seeing a man quickly spreading a clear liquid along the base of the canvas just moments before the blaze erupted. This was the pivotal piece, the combination of the low, fast-spreading burn pattern, the failure to ignite the canvas with a cigarette, the eyewitness account of an accelerant being used. Alcorn's logical deduction was irrefutable. The fire was not an accident. It was arson. The conclusion was devastating for the circus. It implicated Ringling Brothers management for the highly flammable waterproofing and the lack of proper safety measures, but it changed the cause from tragedy to crime. The investigation eventually led to the arrest of Robert Dale Segee, a disturbed young man who confessed years later to starting the fire, and others like it, claiming a recurring dream led him to set the blaze. Though controversy still surrounds his confession and conviction, Alcorn's initial evidence-based conclusion stood: the fire was arson. The Hartford Circus Fire remains a dark chapter in American history, but the investigation led by Lieutenant Alcorn serves as a powerful testament. In a moment of national grief and pressure for a quick answer, he chose logic over impulse. He chose evidence over assumption. and by doing so, he ensured that the truth, no matter how unsettling, would ultimately prevail over initial blame. What do you think about the power of forensic analysis in a crisis? Let us know in the comments below. If you want more stories about cases solved by meticulous deduction, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.